guys, and welcome back to Bikes and Laces, where this week we are going to look at some of the lingo that you might hear whilst you're out and about during running, meeting with your friends, or speaking to anyone in your run club. First though, if you are new to Bikes and Laces, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and press the bell to be notified of upcoming videos. We post 3 brand new videos a week, and you can also catch us over on our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, where we post a variety of tips, advice and random photos of ourselves. Okay, so let's get into the running lingo. Probably whilst you're out and about with running friends, or whilst you've been to parkrun, or maybe even while you're just chatting to some people at your run club, you may have come across some terms you're not quite sure what they mean. So first off, we're going to go through some of the top 10 running lingo words that you would need to know about. So the first one is carb loading. Carb loading is the method by where you would increase the amount of carbs you're eating the night or even the meal before a race. There are, however, many theories about whether carb loading is effective and the different ways that you can do it, such as one great big portion of carbs or an increased amount of carbs throughout the day. However, it is important that you use whatever is best for you. Some people do a lot better with carbs, other people have a few more problems with increasing their carbs. So be sensible, make sure you do research and test what is working for you. So the next one is chafing. Some of you may have come across this. This is where there is a blister or a break in the skin that can be caused by friction from rubbing from clothing or even skin-to-skin contact. Quite frequently they may be found either on the insides of the thighs if you have larger thighs, or even underneath the arms, armpits, or maybe if you're a male, then possibly around the nipple area. The next one is heart rate. This is the number of beats per minute that your heart takes. This is great to use in training if you have access to tracking your heart rate. This might be through a heart rate monitor or even just through a sports watch that can pick up your heart rate as well. Negative splits. So if you're aiming for negative splits, what you're trying to do is run the second half of your race faster than you would the first half of your race. You may also see negative splits in a way that each mile or each kilometre gets progressively faster as you progress through your required distance. And out and back, this is a particular type of course where you would start at point A, run out to point B and run back to point A. Now, I don't mind an out and back if I've only got to do it once. Once you've done an out and back 3 or 4 times, it can get a little bit boring. Overtraining or overtraining syndrome is a drop in your performance because you have been increasing your workout load. This can occur when the body gets pushed further than its ability to actually recover. So if you're hitting a lot of hard sessions and not taking that time to rest, recuperate and recover, then you are possibly going to start to find yourself irritable, have a reduced performance, a lot more fatigued, and maybe even start to find a loss of enthusiasm for running. The pace. So this is how fast you're running. And depending on which measurement you like to run in, then this might be your miles per minute or it may be in kilometres per minute. The next terminology is recovery, and I'm not referring to the recovery that you would do after you finished a race, run or training session. I'm on about the recovery that you have during a session. So a recovery is a period where you would opt for a slower, more gradual pace if you are maybe doing something like interval sessions, or where you would choose to opt for a walk-run kind of scenario. So you would run for a bit and then your recovery would be where you drop it back to a walk. So carrying on from the run-walk a little bit, our next one is the run-walk, or also known as Chafing. Chafing is a method that was made popular by the Olympian Jeff Galloway, hence the name, and is where you would alternate between walking and running throughout your training session. This can quite commonly be found in the Couch to 5K and is a great way to rest, recuperate and recover before you start to increase the pace. Gradually, the more you do this, you'll find that you'll be able to run for longer before you have to take those walking breaks, and it's a great way to strengthen your legs as you're learning to run. The wall. This is a common one found, especially in longer distance races such as marathons or ultra runners, and maybe even a half marathon if you've not really trained for it. The wall typically refers to the point where the runner's energy levels completely plummet, their breathing becomes a lot more laboured, and they really struggle to actually get themselves moving. During this time, you might find it really difficult to actually figure out where you're going, get yourself back out of this stage, and you might also be hit by quite a few negative thoughts as well. Okay, so those are the top 10 that you might hear more frequently. Now, the next ones I'm going to share with you are more training related. So the first one is the long slow distance. Now this is one that we have covered in our acronyms video. If you haven't watched that, why not go and click the link now, and you can go and check it out. The long slow distance is any run that is longer than an average weekly run and can often be found used in training plans such as half marathons, marathon training plans, or even ultra running training plans. The next one is called a fartlek run, and this typically refers to the level of speed that you throw in during your run. So you might run really fast for a certain part of it and then go back to running really slow, or possibly even walking during the rest of it. So you might run really hard for 45 seconds and then take it at a nice gentle pace for 30 seconds. And the last one is hill repeats. So this is where you find a nice big hill or long hill or short hill near where you are, and you would head out to that hill. The idea is that you would sprint up to the top of the hill and gently jog back down and repeat the process. And lastly, here are a few more terms that you might hear that relate to your running style, your running fuel, or even injuries. Glycogen is the energy that is used by your muscles whenever you go out for a run training session or in fact a race. This often comes from the meals that we have beforehand and quite often comes from the majority of carbohydrates that we eat. Overpronation, so this is the one that most commonly pops up and is an inward rolling of the foot. Okay, so the next one is RICE. Again, this is another one that we have covered in our acronym video, but it's always good to have a little bit of a refresher. So RICE stands for rest, ice, compression and elevation. And hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, you'll be able to find out a little bit more about the details of RICE as we go into a video about it. So make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, hit the notification, and then you'll be able to check it out when it comes out. Orthotics. These are a special type of insole that can be placed into your running shoe as a way to protect, support or strengthen your foot, ankle, or help to prevent leg injuries. An overuse injury. An overuse injury is what a lot of people may come up against if they decide to increase their mileage, the amount of work they're doing, or the level of work that they are doing without fully resting up. Simply put, it is an injury caused by putting the body through a lot more than it is actually prepared to take on just yet. Your stride rate is the number of times your feet hit the floor throughout a minute of running. And last but not least, it is the 10% rule. So the theory of the 10% rule is that when increasing your sessions, mileage, distance, etc., you should not really increase it any more than 10%. However, that doesn't mean that you have to go up to 10% if you want to just increase your mileage by 1 or 2% or maybe 5%, that is fine too. Everyone's different, so everybody will be able to increase their training in a different way. Okay, so there is a look into some of the running lingo. We hope you enjoyed our video. Do you think I missed anything out? Why not pop it in the comments below? And whilst you're down there, don't forget to give the video a great big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and press that notification bell so you can be kept up to date with all the videos we've got coming out.